Wake it up with a mouse. There it is.
And we are here, and I am here, and I miss being in my seat, but I thought Steve did a great job last week.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you had been replaced for a second.
Well, I miss when I'm not in my seat, but when I tuned in, it was really nice to see
But you
Steven
didn't
sitting
see it
here.
live, so you didn't know.
I did see it live. I was right before I went on, and I called in for you guys, and it was just really
Well, I
great.
remember we had you on for a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about tonight because tonight is all about Tammy, and that's one of my, all of Debbie's films are my favorites. I would say, and this is one of my favorites, well, just because I loved every one of her films. But Tammy is really special because she was so young, and, I love that song.
But what's weird is I never quite understood how this works. This is a good example of how not understanding how the universe works, because then there's no way to predict it. The idea that this song, would define her for the rest of her life.
Yes.
She had to sing that song
And
forever.
it became a massive hit.
Yeah, and granted, she did a great job, very emotional, and it came from real life, right? It was definitely life imitating art.
Yes.
So here she was going through all the breakups, the world was heartbreaking for her, and she sings this song and everybody loses it. But I listened to that song a million times and it always got me.
Yep. Well, I sang that song when they dedicated the stage at the El Portal Theater, when they dedicated it to be.
Did you do it with
I sang it with Kiki Ebsen. We did a beautiful rendition of it, of a harmony of it, and it was such an honor to sing that song. I love it. I want to sing it with your mom sometime. I'm hearing some feedback. There you go.
No, that's got to be coming from them.
Oh, okay.
Coming from you
anyway,
guys.
That's okay. So tonight's show is about Tammy.
Ryan, we have mics. We have a hot mic coming back from you guys. It's Ryan. It's not us. It's like a room mic is on. I can hear somebody's mic is hot. Anyway.
So, and another thing is that so many people, not only because of the song, but the film as well, and the song wouldn't be without the film, but so many people were named Tammy after that character and because of that song. I know,
and Debbie,
too.
And Debbie.
I
get just as many. Generally, though, when you hear Tammy and somebody's about the right age,
Yeah, no, exactly.
You're like, I know where
Tammy Williams, who watches us
after that.
all the time and has for the last 5 years, was named after that song and that character. And Tammy Wilson also was named after her. So I've met a lot of people that come up to me and say, I was named after the movie Tammy.
Now, not to digress, but what's this thing over your right shoulder?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have to tell you that I got a gift. This is Donna Douglas's shirt, who was Ellie Mae Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies. Now,
got any critters?
Got any critters? I'm going in the cement pond. But people call me Ellie Mae Clampett because of all my critters,
Yeah, for sure.
And because I was a big city girl that came to live here. But, this is a farm with animals.
You have a cement pond? You have critters?
I have a cement pond. I
You're
have
blonde, and now you have a ruffled shirt.
Okay, so Jeffrey. Now, I want to get this pronunciation correct because I know Jeffrey. I've met Jeffrey. I'm going to see Jeffrey soon. But, Seth told me that he was going to get a correct pronunciation on his last name because it's spelled...
I thought we were going to do this later, so it takes me a second to get the pronunciation.
Right, but it's just...
Darwimple.
Darwimple.
Now that's
Jeff Darwimple, you are a doll. So first, Jeff sent me this a few weeks ago. It's an Ellie Mae Clampett booklet, and it has the kind of all this cool art inside about Ellie Mae. But this is the coolest part. It is signed by Donna Douglas right there. So I have an Ellie Mae Clampett autograph, and then this was her top.
So he sent you the...
So this was Donna Douglas's
right,
top.
No, I got that, but he sent you the book as well?
And he sent me the book, and it has her her signature right there.
Now, you know, she
No.
was in my nightlight shows.
Was she really?
Yeah.
You know what? I never met her. I met Jethro, Max Baer Jr., but I never met Donna Douglas. And did she go to our church?
She went, yeah, she definitely came to Hiding Place.
Yeah, I
In
never
fact, it
met
was-
her. I never met her.
She did the nightlight shows, and then she became friends, and she was friends with Norval Hayes and some of that
Yeah.
crew. And I put her in a skit, the one with Dan Aykroyd.
Yep.
And she actually plays the neighbor to Miguel Ferrer and Jane Book.
Oh yes, I
So
remember
Miguel
that
and Jane
episode.
are living together, and then they come over to visit Norval Hayes and Donna Douglas, who live across the street. It's pretty funny.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Jeff, and you don't even know how much it means to me because I have such a connection to Ellie Mae Clampett that it isn't even funny. I
But isn't it fun to be able to collect something that you know you care about? I mean,
well, when I opened this, I was just like, "Wow, this is incredible!" You know,
you just
because
thought it was a tuxedo shirt?
no, I thought, well, Jeff, knows that I like ruffles, and maybe he just. But when I found out that it was Donna Douglas as well, I was freaked out. But so that's my thank you, Jeff. Thank
But
you
this
so
is
much.
actually something that's a good example of something people could afford to collect. Like if you were to find certain things of hers. Now she's not like a giant star. It's not Betty Davis, or whatever.
No, but it doesn't matter
No,
because
because you
I
have
grew up
passion about it.
watching her, and so she. I mean, when I met the cast of Leave It to Beaver, I was starstruck because those were my childhood friends. I watched them every week, and Beverly Hillbillies the same thing, and Green Acres. When I met Ava Gabor, she was with Merv Griffin, and she came up to me in a restaurant because she watched the show that I was on at the time called Capital. It was a soap opera on CBS, and she and Merv Griffin watched it, and they came up to me in a restaurant, and that's actually how I ended up getting on the Merv Griffin show. So it's like you just meet your childhood idols, and
Well,
it's
this is what I
pretty
was
cool.
saying, though, about not really knowing how the universe all fits together. It's pretty remarkable that, hey, Seth, you probably want to slide that costume back just a hair
Yeah, I
because
will.
it is in the frame. But it's all right, he can do it.
Okay.
But, like we were just talking about my mother and Tammy, that's good, and how in the world this song, which I don't think anybody could predict it was going to be what it was. And keep in mind now, when you got a gold record, and over right next to me
Is
here,
that the gold record
this is
for
her
Tammy?
Gold record for
Oh,
Tammy.
that's so special.
That
Yeah.
required a legitimate million sale. Like today, they don't do 1 million to get gold. I believe you can even get platinum without selling 1 million. But this sold 1 million many times over, and it was on every format at the time: 45s, 78s, 33s.
Yeah.
And it was a very big selling soundtrack for the movie, as well as what this would be is just a large single. But it really sort of started to define her career in a lot of ways, and that became part of her live show. And we do have a live show posted, if I'm not mistaken, on Patreon where she sings.
Oh yeah,
Tammy,
no,
I
yes
think.
we do. And before we get to that, I just wanted to show this is actually Jeff from Jeff's
Oh,
page.
there's
DR
Jeff. Like,
Studios.
can we
That's with
put
your mom at the
can
last
we put
auction.
that up?
Right,
Or
that's
is it
DR
up?
Studios right there.
Can we go? Can we?
It's up.
There you go. I love that picture of Jeff. He's such a happy head. Look at his face.
He flew all the way here for you guys when we did the
when
sign
we did the
lighting.
sign. Yeah, he was here and he came to the house. Yeah. So it was, it's, I love when I get to meet you all. It's so great. But Jeff, thank you for coming here to go to the opening of Debbie's sign at the Neon Graveyard, or it's not called that anymore. The Neon Museum is what it
Well, we're
now.
the keepers of the torch, though.
I know, but there's people that care so much
No, but I'm
that
just
they
saying,
fly out here.
My
just-
mother, spent her lifetime building a legacy and doing the things she did, and now we are the keepers of that torch.
Yep,
and,
yep.
and it was handed down to us, and so we try to make it interesting for everybody. That's part of why we do the show.
and it's an honor.
Aha. Yes, and yes, it is. But like over Kat's shoulder, which is kind of cool. Look, Kat, you got
What's that?
You got the poster over the shoulder. Look over your other shoulder.
On my other shoulder.
So there's a.
Oh, the poster, and she signed
So
that.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yep.
Now that's a good example, though, of not a hugely expensive poster. They're around, and that's a really fun one sheet from that movie. Walter Brennan plays my mother's father, who gets hauled off to jail, which is cool. And this is when my mother started doing Walter Brennan impressions.
Yeah, I knew that there was a Walter Brennan. I've heard her do it. She did. What impression she did that I loved so much? Woody Woodpecker.
Well, she did that even in her Vegas show.
Did she?
Yeah, I don't know
I
why.
saw her
Only
do
when
it.
she felt like it, though.
I saw when she was a judge on one of those dance shows. I remember we were at her house. The car came to pick her up. I said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'm judging tonight on a dance show. It's on at 8:00 if you want to watch it." And we did. And she was so cute on that show. And she did her Woody Woodpecker impression.
Well, speaking of cute, don't we have a clip? Yeah, no. Yeah, like we knew that was coming.
No,
no, a clip.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well,
Of
let's
course. What do you
see
think
what we
should
got.
do?
Well, do you want to intro it about? Well, this is your mom talking about Tammy. I
Yeah.
guess we should.
Right. Well, that was my point. You were supposed to go say what it was, since we don't know everything about it. Tell us what
Sure.
you know,
Well,
Bill.
no, this is a little documentary that we made for you guys, and this is tells the story of Debbie and what she thought about making the movie Tammy, and then the song, which most people don't know, actually came after the movie, the release of the song.
Right. So in the movie, they recorded it and then released it as a single, so to speak. But Seth's point, he took stills and other images, and we have my mother talking from her book about Tammy and the experience of that. So rather than us telling all the stories, let's let the master tell the story.
Here we go.
One to the master.
Tammy and the Bachelor. Universal, 1957. During the filming, I was already pregnant with Carrie, but I wasn't showing yet, so no special setups were required. I didn't need any coaching for this part. Tammy and I were kindred spirits. Much as I loved my character, though, I had a lot of trouble with the Bachelor, who is played by Leslie Nielsen. Leslie was very gifted, but fancied himself a method actor.
Like something out of the woods, wild and young and wise.
His heroes were James Dean, Marlon Brando, and other members of the Actors Studio. The fact is, most of the time, Leslie was a pill to work with. I'd always thought he would be great at comedy if he would just relax and play for laughs. How ironic that decades later, he became one of our most beloved comedic actors with his hit Airplane and the Naked Gun movies. Working with Leslie wasn't the only challenge on Tammy. I also had to deal with the Goat and Walter Brennan. The Goat and I worked very closely. She was certainly more fun than Leslie. I had to learn to milk her for our scenes together. I cut my nails so I wouldn't hurt her udders. Once I got the hang of it, we got along pretty well. The Goat just stood there chewing her cud. Her expression reminded me of Walter Brennan.
Ain't nothing hard about milking. The goat does most of the work.
Walter plays my grandfather on the bayou. In one scene, I noticed he wasn't looking at me while we talked. After we finished the take, I asked him where he'd been looking. Your ear, he replied. Why? I asked in surprise. Because that way more of my face is on camera. Don't look at the other actors. Look in 3/4, so your face is more prominent. Stick with me. I'll teach you some tricks. And Walter did teach me. He shared his bag of tricks for me to make the most of a scene. My single of Ray Evans and Jay Livingston's song, Tammy, became a big hit and earned me a gold record. The song was in the top 40 for 23 weeks, 5 of them at #1. It was nominated for an Academy Award as Best Song, but lost to All the Way from The Joker is Wild. Everyone was thrilled for me except for my husband, who felt threatened by my having a hit record. Since I'm an actress, not a recording artist, I couldn't understand his jealousy. The success of the single also saved the movie. My recording wasn't released until after the film had failed at the box office. When the song was a hit, Universal re-released the movie, and it made millions. People often ask me why I didn't play Tammy in the 2 sequels. Ross Hunter did ask me to reprise my role, but by then I was pregnant with Todd, and the studio couldn't wait for his arrival, so they cast Sandra Dee for Tammy Tell Me True. Sandra was fine, but I felt that this decision wasn't the best, that the audience deserved to continue their relationship with Tammy, having the same actor in the role. As it turned out, if Universal had waited, I would have been filming during the biggest scandal of the 1950s when Eddie left me for Elizabeth, which would have been great for the Universal publicity department, if not for me. But it wasn't meant to be. This film is very dear to me. I've identified with Tammy ever since I first met her. Girls copied the ponytail hairstyle designed for me in the movie, and many parents named their baby daughters Tammy or Debbie. I've met thousands of them over the years, which always makes me happy. For the past 4 decades, I've closed my nightclub act with Tammy. So far, the audiences and I still love to hear it.
So there you have it.
Wow.
Blame it on Todd. Always blame it on Todd.
That's me. Okay, there you go.
She says, I only didn't do the sequels because I was pregnant for Todd. There you have it. I had no idea that I was at fault for destroying the Tammy trilogy. News was broken.
Do you know that I have never seen the Tammy with the 2 sequels with Sandra Dee?
It's because she said it as nicely as you could. I mean, it was a mistake,
Yeah.
to try to change the frickin' lead character in such a successful thing. Like as if you could just sub anybody
Did
in.
Leslie Nielsen do them?
I don't think so.
Huh.
I think it was like, there you go.
Was it really Peter Fonda?
Now, he was a handsome dude, but he's no Leslie Nielsen, especially in those days. But, I mean, honestly, once you've established something that's that big of a hit, and then the song, and they reused the song, by the way, in those sequels.
Yeah.
With Debbie's voice, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, the whole thing is, the mysteries of executive life at studios.
Well, yeah.
It's always a mystery. And of course, it's gotten worse. In those days, they used to make decisions that were relatively intelligent for the sake of the studio and the art form and a lot of things.
I don't think that there was as many opinions back then. I mean, now, to get anything greenlit or decided on at a studio or a network is just, it's incredible that anything ever gets decided. There's just so many people that have so many opinions and, have to go down this chain that it ever gets made. But
Well,
at least back then, they had the big heads.
There
And
still are gods, today, in the studios. But back then, like Louis B. Mayer, was God. I mean, whatever he wanted to do, that was it.
God of the
And-
studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also had Thalberg as his lead production producer and had many producers under him, and they were a machine. But those decisions that were being made, generally the studio was making decisions because they were manufacturing a product that they wanted to continue on. Now, this movie was Universal, so she was on a loan-out deal. I'm sure that also had something to do with it. I always thought, until I heard this, I always thought that the reason why she didn't do Tammy sequels is because MGM didn't want her to, because it wasn't their movie.
You
And she
mean
was in the
you
middle-
actually? This is the first you've heard of this?
No, I didn't know. I never heard it blamed on me before. I didn't remember that. I'm very offended. I'm going to go cry later. But I feel that there's a need, to blame somebody. So why not Todd? But no, seriously, I really, honestly, all this time thought it was because MGM was like, no, we don't. They were careful about loan out. They didn't want it to conflict with properties that they owned or controlled or music that they owned or controlled. So I could see how they would have, in my mind, it was just like, I could hear, either Mannix or Louis B. Mayer saying, no, that's not happening. But my mom seems to think it was my fault.
Well, someone just asked a very interesting question, and I'm trying to find it, but when I do, I'll give the name. But he asked if you have any footage of her singing Tammy. I believe it was at the Academy Awards, and it was
From way back? you
yeah,
mean? No, I don't.
1959, I think he said.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have
I mean,
that?
we could look for it.
That's
just
right, we didn't have VCRs in 1959.
Well, we did have black and white TV though, so they would have.
I wonder if that's on YouTube.
No, it's not.
No?
I've searched for it.
Have you?
By the way, this is when the
No, it's at the 59th Academy Awards, just after Mike Todd died.
right. So she was saying this is the middle of that scandal, but keep in mind, this is when the Shriners Auditorium was where the Academy Awards were, and it was
Right.
not as big of a to-do as it became. It was a to-do of a different nature as production value went up and up and
Was
up.
it
The show got
was
bigger.
it televised?
Yeah, but it was small time compared to where we've evolved.
Right.
And you didn't have the format that we have today exactly. In fact, a lot of these lesser awards were not even necessarily televised, although the best soundtrack certainly would have been.
I'll tell you, because we went to the Academy Awards 8 years ago, and I maintain today that your living room armchair is the best seat in the house to watch the Academy Awards.
Well, it is a bit of a scene fighting your way through all that.
Yeah.
So in my hands here, I'll
Oh,
put it over
the
here.
script. I
So
love
on the
that.
close-up camera, you've got the script. This is my mother's script from Tammy, and I'll keep that on, and I will kind of open it up a little bit, and we can look through it together. So this has got stills in here that were put in here. My mother would have sent this, and but there's the original scripts pages, and I probably shouldn't be using my hands, but they are clean. But you notice how she circled, these are my lines,
Yes.
which is common for an actor to do.
Yep.
And even now at this point, my mother probably had certain reverence for these scripts and wouldn't have written all over the script. Later on, my mom would write all over the script.
Well, yeah, because
like she would say here, see, grasping straws.
Right.
But she would have then maybe written some additional parenthetical information about what she might have been doing. See, it says Tammy hastily, grandma's brick to heat his feet. So anyway, cool scripts. There she is with her little doggy. That was Rocky, I think. The dog, that is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Man, she got a lot of dialogue. Do you see every damn page is... I mean, she's carrying this movie.
Yeah, but how many pages a day did they shoot back then?
Oh, it's not like your world. I'm talking about for a movie and a young actress, you're carrying the load here. Not that it's bad to have to, work with great actors. I mean, between Walter Brennan and Leslie Nielsen, you're in good
And
good
who
company.
directed this film?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
So someone can Google that for us. Ross
Oh, now
Hunter, there
see.
you go.
Okay, so Ross Hunter, not one of my favorite directors. This is a paparazzi shot.
No, that's a on-set photographer shot.
I don't know about that. Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that's
That's a studio
Now, by the way,
photographer.
MGM didn't allow that. They did not allow those publicity stills out. So when if it was another studio, they may allow this stuff out.
Yes.
But not MGM. They wouldn't. The behind the scenes stuff did not get out as publicity.
That is so cool to see all these shots. And I love how because Debbie had these books made, right?
Oh yeah, she would have selected.
So she would have selected the photos and, all that. And I love that she did this with Carrie's script as well. I've
Anyway,
seen
lots
many a
and
bound
lots of-
script, but I've never seen pictures in them like that.
One of the things that I have found in it, there's the end finally, down there. Fade out. But a lot of, look at this. This is kind of cool. Zoom in on this. Let me back up a little. See, it says final screenplay. There's a number and a date there, and then pan down. Look, Tammy Out of Time was a title.
Yeah.
So that was
But
before.
it ended up not.
It just became Tammy,
Tammy,
instead of
right.
Tammy Out of Time. Now, final screenplay. What is that? Is that a date on there? Well, hold on a second. It's a phone number. there's an HO phone number, which is how we used to do things in LA. And then it says Oscar Bronley, and then it's got his phone number, and then Lillian Burns Sydney name and phone number on there. It's now Brentwood Hall, not, what is that? Not Brenton. I'm not sure what she's saying there. But, and then it's got a nice little stain here for for some drink that didn't make it. But that one of the things that I love is when things like that are in here, because then it's like a mystery what was going on here. There's a list of the cast in this script, which you don't always see. And then she did finally underline something here. This is cool. Check out that, Seth. That right up, the underline part. So you got it focused up? Yep. Tammy, barefoot and in plain homemade gingham dress, is patiently waiting for the water pail to fill under the trickle of water. Now, she chose to underline that. I'm not sure. That's her character description, by the way. So can't explain why she would have chosen to underline that, other than it's is there
any
hint.
intel that your mom gave you on Leslie Nielsen?
Well, she just said he was really funny and charming. And I don't know if you have that picture wherever Seth disappeared to, but there's a really cute picture. Do you have that picture of the goat and Leslie Nielsen looking at each other?
Oh, I love that shot.
It really shows you a lot about his character. And when I got to meet him, I didn't know him really well, but I met him a few times. He always had that je ne sais quoi. He was funny, charming, very charming, disarmingly charming. And you can tell just by every picture, every scene he's in, you can just feel that.
And of course, for many of us, Leslie Nielsen, we didn't even know who he was until Airplane. And that just put him into the mainstream stratosphere because that movie was so popular.
So watch that movie. That's great.
Yeah.
But then go back and watch his old movies. The guy doesn't change. His demeanor, his tempo, the way he puts his characters forward didn't change an inch. He always maintained that dry sense of humor. He had the great one-off takes. Okay, preview on, go. So there's the picture I was talking about, and look at his sense of humor right there. I mean,
so
I love
cute.
that picture. That's Nan the goat.
Aww.
And look at my mom, the way she's looking at him. I mean, so cute. I mean, they're really too far apart age-wise.
Okay, so tell me, when she was making this movie, was her marriage to Eddie already done?
Oh, like I would know, but I mean, I was in her. Remember, she just blamed me for ruining the movie by being pregnant
that's
with me.
right. That's right.
But I can tell you
So
that
he was still in the picture.
I'm just going to say that from inside, my mother, I could feel the tension. Don't forget, there was already this tension going on when she was pregnant. We're talking about me coming out. Within 3 months, the breakup was already happening.
You were 3 months old when he left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I remember it.
You do. But that's really
I've
young.
been told.
Yeah.
Okay, I honestly don't remember any of that. In fact, my earliest memories have nothing to do with Eddie, and nothing to do with even the first things I can remember as a young child had to do with my sister, not my mother, because we were always together. So you were always together. My mother's working, whatever. The two kids, the babies, are playing.
Yeah.
So we were together. So I only remember Carrie really early, I remember, I've run the home movie before. We had a shot of it. I don't know if it made it into Bright Lights or not, of Carrie, when I took my first steps, Carrie was holding me up, holding my hand.
Aw.
So a lot of times people's memory wouldn't necessarily have been filmed and their mother or father would have held them up. But in this case, of course, I'm falling all over the place.
And at one point she shoved you down, and when your mom turned around and I think you were crying, and Carrie went, "Baby go boom.
Baby fall down.
Baby fall down."
As if didn't know what happened. No, but she would do that. Well, I mean, I was Carrie's toy, plaything in many ways. A lot of children, when they're growing up, they'll have a pet stuffed animal or a toy, and they'll take out certain frustrations or things on the stuffed animal or the doll or whatever. But Carrie had me.
Yes.
So I got some of that.
You were her toy.
I was her toy.
Well,
toy boy.
Now, so their marriage was coming to an end. And then, of course, the record became a hit record, and as she said, that caused some kind of riff.
Well, my dad was not good at
sharing.
In fact,
he was not good at sharing.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to be fair, my dad was, he only could do one thing, truthfully, and that was sing really good, and that was his domain. And
Yeah.
so then all of a sudden, she started to shift into his lane in many ways.
But that there's something wrong with that, because
Why, wouldn't you
when
be
you are
happy?
a team as a married couple, you're my partner, you're my husband,
Why
you're
wouldn't you be
my
happy?
teammate. Why wouldn't you be happy for me? Why wouldn't I be happy for you?
Because you're not a narcissist. And my dad, even though he was charming in a lot of things, he was
Yeah.
a full-blown narcissist. And you've heard my mother also talk about how he made comments. And he said this, I've read it out of his book. He would say, Debbie was always upstaging me, always trying to get all the attention. Well, that's not what was happening. She's just more entertaining than you are, dummy.
Yeah.
She is just, she was so, she would never let dead airspace go by. Eddie would. He didn't know how to keep the party going, so to speak. He could be part of it, but not like the guy keeping the party running.
It reminds me of, it's so interesting, because not only is it true of people actresses and actors, but I think it's true of all people, where you meet somebody and the very things that they fall in love with you about, the very things about you that they fall in love with, I should say, end up being the very things that irritate and annoy them soon after.
See, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
No, you are.
No,
you have personal experience there.
Well,
don't.
I have not only that. I wrote a book about heartbreak, and so I interviewed hundreds of people, and some of them were famous, and some of them were just, regular folks who, were sharing their experience about life and heartbreak. But it's really true that, the things that people, they think, oh, this is great. Oh, everybody loves my wife. And then they come to resent you for that, because when you go out to eat and people come up and you're the one they notice. And
So you should be very thankful for my mother and sister,
Why?
because all my programming comes from.
Oh no, I've thanked.
laid the groundwork.
Listen, when your mom was still here, I thanked her a million times for raising you so well, because
It's not just there's a well part of my raising for sure, but
Yeah.
but the programming that you're talking about is not having to feel competitive in that environment, not having to, allow allow you to be who you are and the star that you are, and shine the way you shine when you shine, and not try to be competitive or compete or be jealous or something like that. Like, it was just not like that. I had the advantage of watching, my mom my whole life be this amazing performer, entertaining people, mesmerizing people is a good way to put it. And then I later got to watch, Carrie step into a variation of that in her own way, and she became entertainment and mesmerizing in a different world, sort of in not just the science fiction side of it, but her words became mesmerizing the way my mother's other talents were mesmerizing. So I just had this exposure to these amazing, talented girls, and so when I'm around someone as talented as you are, it's easy for me just to let you shine.
Oh, Todd. Oh my gosh.
Shine on.
So we have
shine
Richard
on, harvest
Klebe
moon
has
of the
asked a
sky.
question.
Yes.
It's so funny, because this moves so fast, and it was right here in front of me, and now it's gone up to the
Did you
top.
catch it, Seth?
Richard
Let's
Klebe.
see. Yes, I do. Did Debbie ever get asked to be in It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World?
Oh, so It's a Mad, Mad World is in my opinion another one of these sort of classic comedy films. It was, Stanley Kramer, I believe. Just an amazing movie. You know who's in that movie is Stan Freberg.
Yeah,
And
I just saw it the other night.
well, I know people that are young, like Seth's age, that think that's like a cult classic. They think that movie is the best thing ever.
Really?
And it does have everybody in it.
It didn't
love
strike
that
me that
movie.
way.
No, but you have to like that kind of almost.
Yeah,
It's a little
slapstick.
slapsticky.
Yes, very much so.
And it's broad, but if you can kind of ride through it and appreciate the amazing cameos.
Oh my
It's
gosh, everybody
unbelievable.
was in it.
But
And
to answer the question, I didn't answer the question. No, I think she was, busy doing other movies, and the stars just didn't align. They did ask a lot of people, and I'm sure they would have wanted her, but she was at the peak of her career. What year was that? Do we know?
That was, I think, the year How the West Was Won came out.
So
62.
How the West Was Won was a game changer for my whole family, because for 2 years we did nothing but live and breathe How the West Was Won. I mean, I didn't see anybody. I mean, everybody was on lockdown because this movie was a crisis to the studio. I don't know if you're aware of this, but that could have bankrupted MGM. They were way over budget, way over time. Henry Hathaway continued to add, as they went along.
It was in 1963.
Yeah, so that's the
Nikki
middle of
ju-
How the
Nick-
West one, right?
Groovy Nikki, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that puts you, right in the middle of, was an incredibly busy time for her. And How the West Was Won became a movie, and she became the biggest star in the movie. Every star in the world practically is in that movie, How the West Was Won.
Yeah.
But my mother, really, the movie is about her life, the thread of her life through the story of the evolution of America becoming America, settling of the West. And Spencer Tracy's the narrator and all that, but really we're following her on that journey and her people. And, Carrie and I were her people for real, traveling with my mom all over the country, to Paducah, Kentucky, to Ridgeway, Colorado, and all these different places with that movie, and the studio, of course, as well. So we were swept into that movie. We lived the West, literally, and we had our nurse with us, Dottie Wolf.
But, one of the things I love is that we have pictures around the house of you visiting her on that set. And she was made up as an old lady, because she was the end of the movie when she was very old. So they had the special makeup on her. What did you think when you saw her in that makeup when you were a little boy? Did
Well, the
you
pictures
understand
say it
what?
all.
Yeah, but
What happened is, it was startling, because one minute my mother was 30, the next minute she was 70 or 80.
yeah. But how do kids process that? I wonder.
Well, if you look at the picture, there's a thing where Carrie's put her hand up to her face, like what is that? Because they use a latex kind
Right.
of thing and it's freaking her out. But we're both looking at it like, whoa, what is this? Look, we at that point were, around a lot, but we had never seen my mother play old. She was always the beautiful ingenue. At that point, she was the star. Molly Brown, never got old.
do we have any other clips?
Oh, yeah, we do. Well, we have your mom. I pulled a clip that we have from your mom's show where she sings Tammy.
Well, now, I thought somebody was going to ask that. Somebody did, sort of, right?
Yes.
So,
well, there were actually two different questions about that particular.
Okay. Well, the point is, so we can play that because it's her live show.
Right.
So I can't play it out of the movie because that's their thing, but I can play you a clip of her singing Tammy, which, as I said, I listened to this song 100,000 times, literally, and it got me every time because it really was close to the bone as to her personality and her life experience. Part of the reason why I was so emotional is it was like literally what she was experiencing at that moment in her life. And then you have to do it on a record, and she just ripped everybody's heart out with this song. So without further ado, let's rip everybody's heart out.
Let's do it.
You mean a lot to me. All these years. Husbands go, you stay. It's a lovely feeling. There is one song that I haven't sung for you from one of my hit movies. This was my only hit song, as a matter of fact. It was called Tammy. Here's my one little hit. Thank you for caring about me. Cottonwoods whispering above. Tell me to love you. We used to love. Tell me to love. I know you feel what I feel when he comes near. My heart beats so joyfully. You think that he could hear? Shine you, feel what I'm dreaming of. Tell me to love. Whippoorwill, you and I know. Tell me,
Sorry
Good
about
night,
the
ladies and
sound,
gentlemen.
everybody.
Well, I did EQ it, so hopefully we got it better, right?
I don't know. Huh?
Everybody liked it?
Does it?
Well,
it's hard for us to
No,
know.
but I tweaked it as we went along there. That's why I ran back there just
Yeah.
to see what I could do with it, because that was not. So we have some other shows that we've posted on our Patreon page where you can see there are some better recordings, like the Reno, Debbie and Donald in Reno. That was, we used a remote truck, so the sound would have been higher quality. But I'm glad it came across on the internet side. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it all right on the internet. I think some people were having trouble hearing it on their end.
Yeah.
I tested it out on both of my devices so I could hear it. So
Okay.
I don't know what they were hearing.
Well,
I
anyway.
didn't know my mic was on and I was
If-
harmonizing with her. Barb was like, sing it, Kat. And I'm like, oh, my mic is on.
So that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so that was the hit that led to, in many ways, like an extended recording career, because prior to this, the only records that she had done, had to do with the movies, like Singing in the Rain and things like that. So I Love Melvin, great songs in that movie, I Love Melvin, that she and Donald did together, but also Singing in the Rain, obviously. But, it leads up to what became, on the wall out there, we must have 20 records of hers. She truly had a lot of records that started to come out. People started thinking of her more as a recording artist. I don't consider her voice to be like earth-shattering, but it's very, it's emotional and it's telling. She wears her heart on her sleeve and it comes across. I don't know. She was able to deliver a lot of emotion within the music. It's not that she sang, 5 octaves or something. Julie Andrews, for example, had this enormous range to her voice.
Well, Julie Andrews was opera trained and she was a singer and she became a wonderful actress. And Debbie was like an actress who sang. I consider myself an actress who sings rather than a singer. That was not my first thing I did. Acting was what I did for 20 years before I even took a voice lesson. So, but your mom learned,
they trained-
they trained her,
they
yeah.
trained you.
But I think that, she was a triple threat to be
Right,
sure.
but, quadruple. But
Yeah.
the studio was brilliant in those days. This is what Lily and Sidney and others did around Louis B. Mayer. They were brilliant at developing talent. So when they saw my mother at Warner Brothers doing Poo Poopy Doop, they realized that she could do more and wanted to develop that talent, and they started to move her into different things.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's not the studio that gives her first giant gold record hit. Well, actually, it's not true. 2 Weeks with Love with Carlton
Abba
Carpenter, Abba Dabba. Was that before this?
Oh, yeah, that was in 51. That
So,
was at the
so really the first gold record was Abba Dabba. Now you talk about, it's like no chance anybody's betting on that being a hit. Abba Dabba 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 to the chimpy to the monk. What is that lyric? That's the dumbest song in the world, but it
They
became
were
a huge
so
hit.
cute together.
But nobody got to see. The thing is, we didn't have videos like we have today, so you had to go to the movie to see Carlton Carpenter her do that together. But the record became a million. I have that record somewhere, but we have the gold record.
Yes.
That becomes a huge hit, a million selling little nothing hit. So it's not like they didn't start to think, well, wait a minute, these guys, maybe there's more to all of this. So you start to develop that talent as you see it. Okay, we had a hit record. What else do you want to do with her? So they put her in other musicals. But again, not to the level of Jane Powell, for example. I don't like opera particularly, but she has more of an operatic style. And my mother has a very natural style. The comparison, I much prefer my mother's style
Yeah.
to a Janie Powell, which is why when my mother put Jane Powell in the play Irene, it closed in a couple of months.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
It wasn't Debbie.
Yeah.
Like the girl Tammy, is Debbie. Irene is just another girl from Fifth Avenue. She played these little girls that became something. And the journey that the girl was on, everybody loved that journey, and that she sings about the journey. And those movies and that play were a hit because of that. Now Jane Powell comes in, And it's a very different voice style. And by the way, Jane Powell's a bigger star than Debbie, by the way. You know, she was there first, so to speak. Like when they do Hit to Deck together, you know, Jane Powell is a bigger star than Debbie. But a very different style. And I just think that the style had everything to do with it. So Irene, my mother was hoping the play would run because she was one of the producers, but it didn't run. No one bought it. No one bought Janie Powell as the little Irene character girl from Fifth Avenue.
Well, Kat, I have to say, I think we need to re-record Tammy with Kat harmonizing because
Well,
you're getting a lot
I'm
of...
doing that
did
in
that.
my new show that is going to be coming out after January. We hear, and so I do that. I will be harmonizing with her for that one song
Stay
in
tuned.
that show.
I think no better person to do it.
Well, I used to love to harmonize with your mom at the dinner table when she would.
No singing at the table.
Oh,
You should know
that wasn't
rule.
true. I don't know where. I think you were
No,
out of
that
town.
was Carrie.
But no,
The
but
rule
when
only had to be
I know
implemented.
that. But when you were out of town and she was making Beyond the Candelabra, and they were shooting in Vegas, or what was it, Behind the Candelabra? Yeah, and they were shooting it in Vegas, and so she would come home from work. The car would drop her off, and she would take off her wig, and she would put on her schmata, and she would sit at the dinner table, and I would have made something for us, and I'd sing something at the table, and she would harmonize with it. So she took the harmony, which is the hard part. And I mean, it's not easy to keep the melody either when you have someone's voice in your ear, but I love to sing harmony.
She was one of the great
She was
harmonizers.
so good at it, and I thought, am I really sitting here singing with Debbie Reynolds at the dinner table? I mean, it was such a wonderful
But she
thing.
loved doing it.
Yeah, she did, and she was great at it.
I love telling the story one time. It was like Billy Mooney and Sean Cassidy and David Jolliffe. We were recording with my recording truck, and we were doing background vocals. And we were all together in the den. We used a truck, and we were using the den to record. And we were singing in the background. And my mother comes in, and she says, "Oh, I can sing that with you guys." And all the guys, everybody in the room was like, "Oh, okay, why not?"
Yes.
So all of a sudden, Debbie is singing. So it's Sean, Debbie, David Jolliffe, Billy Mooney, and you know these names, right? Billy Mooney.
Well,
Lost in
every
Space.
time I think of Billy Mooney, well, first of all, Lost in Space, but what I remember Billy Mooney from especially, because I was a Twilight Zone freak when I was a kid. I loved that show. And he was he would ban people to the cornfields. Remember that episode?
Oh, he was great at that.
They're like, "Oh, that's a real good thing you done, a real
Yeah.
good thing," because everybody was always
Spiritualist
they
guy.
thought that he
Yeah.
was going to send them to the cornfield. So every time I hear Billy Mooney's name, he's been doing autograph shows.
But you know, he's actually, because obviously he didn't do a lot later on, but he's a very skilled musician. He plays
oh
guitar
yeah,
beautifully.
He still has a band. I mean, they play.
I'd love to hear. See,
Yeah.
I get a message now and again from him. David Jolliffe was in Room 222. Do you remember that
Yep,
TV show?
sure.
And they had started a band. It was David and Billy and Sean, and we were recording some songs there. And
Sean Cassidy? Really?
yeah,
I'll be darned.
David would come too. And you know, right, it was interesting. We were living on Oakhurst at this time, Oakhurst Drive. It's a block to the west of Doheny, just off of Little Santa Monica. And another block to the north, right on the corner, was Shirley Jones's house. So Sean would just walk down the street like half a block to my house, and we would record. I still have the masters in our room back there.
Shirley Jones, I was watching Elmer Gantry last night.
Oh, you and me both.
Oh, I love that film, but she was so
Top
great
10
in that.
favorite movie.
And her at that age, you see Sean Cassidy's face in her face so clearly.
What I see is a amazing, raw, untainted actress.
Yeah.
That delivered the most believable thing ever. And had she been trained, it would have screwed that up completely. She just sells that. It's flawless.
Yeah.
And so the idea that she won an Academy Award is be like, well, of course. Mm-hmm. You know, and of course, Burt Lancaster, forget it. He's amazing.
I
Gene
love
Simmons,
him.
you know, in that role is unbelievable.
Oh, yes, she was great.
Incredible. And now, I don't know if you know this, but that's the story of Amy Semple McPherson, who was a non-denominational evangelist from the time who built a temple. And I mean, he's a fictitious story.
I was going to
obviously.
say, I don't think she died in a fire.
Well, it's
the end.
Hollywood. No, but it's based on
Yeah,
that character because that's what she did. She started intense and traveled around,
Yeah.
and it was during Prohibition and all of that. What an amazing movie that is! If you haven't seen Elmer Gantry, please watch this movie. It is such a great
Oh,
story.
it is one of the great classics of all time.
I
No
mean,
doubt.
to me, it's in my top 10, and of all time. And that when it came on, I was so thrilled because I have to watch it every few years just to get a dose.
And like you said, Burt Lancaster was magic in that movie. And
well, he never lets you down.
no, when I do that routine in my show about your favorite movie star, when I ask people to write down their favorite movie star, and they put it in the envelope, when I say, and what does that mean? It means that you'd go see a movie just because they're in it. That when you go see their movie, you believe everything they say. They make you laugh. They make you cry. I want you to put emotion in it. That's what Burt Lancaster is for me.
And in a pretty wide range. I mean, it's to play. He says in the movie, there's a scene where the guy's talking about how he's sort of just a rough. He's not educated, preacher, and he hasn't studied anywhere. And he goes, yeah, that's the difference between you. He goes, I am the people. They relate to me because I am one of them. And he sells that so beautifully. I mean, Burt Lancaster playing an evangelist, you just don't think of it. I don't think of it. He's unbelievable in this movie. But
Well, and years and years and decades later, he was in one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie, Field of Dreams, which
Well.
if you have father issues and you can watch Field of Dreams and not absolutely fall apart at the end, you're a robot, because that movie slays me. I mean, I've seen it maybe 30 times
oh well.
at least, and when Burt Lancaster
Oh yeah.
has his role in that, I just think, my God, he was endless. He was timeless. There was no end to him.
Did you ever
he was
see
incredible.
the movie The Swimmer with Burt Lancaster?
No.
Oh, that's
Way
a
later
good-
in his
that's a
life.
good
Very
one.
trippy movie. Not my favorite movie, but
Yeah.
very interesting movie, very esoteric.
Well, let's put it on the list. I am ready to see The Swimmer.
Well, it's later in his life,
Yep.
and he's playing a guy that's literally traveling through this neighborhood to get home by swimming in everybody's pool on his way.
Yeah.
So he goes in everybody's yard and swims in their pool, moves on to the next pool.
There's so many, when your mom was still here and when the hotel came up for sale again, and we were just sitting and she said,
Fantasizing.
we were fantasizing, and she said, "Oh, I would love to be able to get that back." And I said, "Oh, me too. I'd sweep the floor with you on that one, because it would have been really fun to continue having Saturday at the movies with classic films and then talk about them afterwards and have, maybe whoever's still around that was
Well,
working."
that was really.
I love that
that
idea.
was our dream. I mean, if you think about what we did there, that's what we did.
Yeah.
It's one thing to sit and chit chat like we are right now, and I tell you about who I remember and we tell stories, but in this case, we actually, and let's bring on Burt Lancaster. It was like that.
Yeah.
Like we'd be talking about, we run this movie in front of an audience, then we would talk about the movie for a minute, and then we'd bring out the star and tell stories, and then you get to ask questions of that person. I mean, do you realize that so many people will never ever have those moments? That's why we're going to post all those shows eventually on the Patreon.
Patreon, right.
How many are on there right now?
Right now we have 2 Monday at the movies, and we are going to upload some more.
See, now that's got to
and
be
then-
something we stay. I think
You
we
know what?
slipped on that a
Let's-
little.
Well,
let's-
we're trying to
let's
do
talk
like
about it.
one Monday at the movies a
Yeah.
month kind of
Right.
thing, because we just actually, if anybody to our Patreon members, hello, current and new, which we'll go into that in a second, but we just wanted to let you know that we do have some new videos on Patreon as of today for this coming week. So there's some real fun clips that we dug out of the archives.
Oh, that is awesome. So let's tell them about Patreon, because
Sure.
some people may not know
I
about
have some
it.
questions,
no,
by the way.
You go
Okay.
ahead.
I have
Questions are
questions.
let's do
questions
questions first.
So let me get them back up in front of me. Somebody, while I get the rest, somebody was asking, Todd, if you or your mom or even Carrie had any relationship with Jane Mansfield or met her.
So Jane Mansfield, of course, was the bombshell, but I actually only have one picture of my mom or two of my mother with Jane Mansfield. It looks like some kind of a party. They're posed together. I never met her that I remember. you know,
I think you would remember that.
Oh, I would definitely
because
remember.
he's a chest man, so I think you would
You would've
remember.
remembered
Well, one of my
those.
favorite all-time Jane Mansfield's pictures, and there's quite a few that are memorable.
with wait, I know what you're going to say. It's with Sophia Loren.
Sophia Loren.
I love that picture.
Sophia Loren is looking at her chest, and she's, Jane is leaning forward and massive cleavage, and it's sort of a loose top where everything is,
Spilling out.
available to
Yes.
enjoy. And you could see that she's looking at it like, oh my God. But for a woman, she's obviously not enjoying it like in a sexually strange way. She's just looking at these amazing breasts that anybody would have to admire, especially somebody like me.
Yes, and you so would. That.
I would.
Yes.
And I would have remembered that probably, as you have so aptly pointed out. But I feel like there were a lot of girls, that my mother was friends with, but but when she was friends, like the people that were around all the time, was the Ann Millers, the Esther Williams, Lucille Ball. Those were what I call her posse. But Jane wasn't part of it. And I don't know where Jane lived. Of course, Frank Ferruccio is the expert on all this probably, but where she was living in those days, I don't know that she was she LA based?
She was at the Pink Palace.
Pink
She had
Palace.
that
Yeah.
mansion.
So she was there, but it wasn't really our circle. As was Monroe wasn't really, my mom was friendly with Monroe, but didn't know her well. In fact, when she was struggling in the early 60s, my mother was very sympathetic to that. And then, of course, when she died, everybody was stunned. That was a very shocking development.
Yeah. It's funny we were talking about Billy Mooney because Charlotte Robnett, who's in the chat, she went to the Hollywood autograph show today, and he was there, and they were talking about that Twilight Zone episode like 2 hours ago, and here we are. So you see, yet
The
another.
universe.
I'm plugged in. That's right. I'm on the frequency. And Charlotte Robnett.
I'm the one that brought up Billy Mooney. Let me have
You
credit.
did. Okay, I'll give it to you.
Of course, you
I
had
brought
the
up-
cornfield story, but
I did.
I'm the one
Yes.
that sucked you in on with
Yes.
the harmonizing with Debbie. Can you visualize? We're in this little den in this little house in Beverly Hills, and there's a microphone in the room. We're all singing a background vocal, and she just busts in. Hey, that's a pretty weird crew. Me, Billy Mooney. I mean, it's like an interesting group of people singing background vocals.
Yep.
And needless to say, to have her in the group, though, was great because she could just say, "What, where do you want me?"
Right.
I'll take the lower third. I mean, it's like anywhere you want her, she could nail it.
Well, that's actually what I love about singers is that they love to jam. I mean, it's almost like the ego gets checked at the door when you're at a party and you have a bunch of singers there. Everybody just wants to make music together, and it's really great, really
but that's
fun.
because that's their instrument, right? You hear that
Yep.
term being used. Mm-hmm. And they're brilliant at their instrument. And when you're great at playing an instrument, you love to jam.
Yes.
And so it leaves the rest of us wanting to listen. Because when the greats are singing, and I had the privilege of listening to a lot of spontaneous jam sessions.
And with the piano in your living room, which is now in our living room.
That's right.
And
That
I can't
piano-
even imagine who sang around that piano.
Well, so the piano in our living room, I did a major restoration work on it. It didn't seem important when it was lumped over at DR Studios and had its life
I never
there.
thought that that piano would. I thought it would become wood for the fireplace. It was in such bad
It's
shape.
spectacular now, but
It's
but
gorgeous.
It needed to come back because
And Wes loves playing that
the
piano.
old expression:
And he
if
does it
if
very
these
well.
walls could talk, well, if that piano could talk. I mean, the things that went on at that piano at parties and all hours of the night and rehearsals and pitches. I tell the story of Irving Berlin pitching my mother to do Annie Get Your Gun at that piano. And yeah, there it is. All right. So
Yep.
that's the restored version of that Greenway house. Actually, this piano was
It has
purchased.
ivory keys.
It has real. That's not
it's-
such a great thing, but
Yeah.
it has. So there's Harry
There it
Carl.
is.
That's the piano sitting in the living room at Greenway.
Look at Harry Carl with his pants pulled up too high with his belt too tight.
because he had no hips.
But that was a very nerdy thing in high
Well,
school.
he is very nerdy in general. I'm surprised he doesn't have a pocket pen protector in his pocket. But this piano actually started at there's a picture of Carrie playing in front of it at the Conway house. The piano was purchased by Eddie and Debbie to decorate their house back in the later 50s. Oh, there it is. Bring that one up.
Wh-
What's that?
I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Don't worry about it. It's okay. So Carrie is playing there, but in the left side, you can see there's that piano over there. We have other pictures of that, but that was where the piano
Wait a
began
minute.
its life.
That couch that I'm looking at is not
That's the one.
That's the couch we still have,
To this moment, the painting
and the couch.
and the couch are sitting in my mother's room.
That's right. But I almost didn't recognize it because how long ago was that?
1956.
Your mom took that couch everywhere she went after
yeah, but
there
this is
and
back
brought
when-
it here.
Yeah, but things were made differently in these days.
Do you know that we slept on that couch?
Yeah,
remember?
but don't forget that couch
And I had the
has
worst
been
backache.
recovered by Jerry
Yeah.
Wunderlich several times.
Yes.
But the point is, furniture, when it's made well, like that's a hardwood frame.
Yes.
It had real, again, down, and all that. So they recover and rebuild over the years. That thing's been rebuilt 4 times. The painting, as you see there, is the Ralph Cohen, a beautiful portrait.
cloud picture.
That made her. It's one of my favorite paintings on earth. That's there, and so that sits in her room here in Vegas, untouched. And now the piano is back in the fold. But the piano, is just another one of those things. I mean, there's got to be some way besides me telling all the stories. I mean, the thing that's connected to that, it's like there's a thing that connects to these artifacts. So why do we all collect things, because they have meaning, and they have meaning because we experienced things with them, or we saw them in a movie, or we knew so-and-so touched it, or was with it, or it belonged to so-and-so. That's why we collect these things. And I just collect big things. But the piano, is got an important part of my life. And by the way, not just because of all the famous stuff, it's also where I learned to play piano on that little piano. I would sit there even by myself in the Greenway house. I can remember trying to play chords by myself in the music room in this enormous house, nobody else in the house, and that sound just ringing out through these 15, 20-foot ceilings throughout marble floors, very acoustically live room, beautiful sounding, almost like what you would experience in a hall, in a concert hall. And then, like, segue forward, I had seen everybody rehearse in there. I told you the Irving Berlin one was one of my favorites because he's pitching her, like trying to talk her into doing Andy, Get Your Gun. There it is there. Sitting, and some of those paintings are still in my mom's house. That
Yep.
music stand is still sitting in our living room, and you see those 2 jade pictures are still in my mom's room right there on the piano.
You know what I love that in your mom's bathroom is still all of her makeup exactly as she left it, and nothing's out of place. I mean, it is exact. So when people come over and they want to see things, I love taking them into that space, and you open the drawers, and it's just exactly as it was when
As
she was
Tammy
last
left
here,
it.
as Tammy left it. Okay, so I want to talk about the Patreon page because a lot of people are new here. We had a tremendous claim sale today. Ryan did an incredible job with that, as he
I
always
think
does.
Seth helped them out a little bit, too.
Well, yes, absolutely, but
A team effort.
everything here is a team effort,
But Ryan
absolutely.
is,
but Ryan, he gives up so much of his time to do these things, and he not only does them, but he does them with a spirit of excellence, which is something that is very
He makes
hard
it
to
fun
find
for everybody.
Yeah, he does. He's got a gift for that. And so a lot of people, we had a lot of new people today. I think we have 600 new people or something like that that have
Close to
joined.
400.
400 new people that joined the page. And so if people were really excited about all of the things that were offered. And, we all love to collect, and it's just cool to have a little piece of history. I remember when I first started to collect, I think it was in the 90s, and I bought at the Rendell Gallery in New York City. The first thing I bought with the money I made on, I think it was Loving, the show that I went on when I moved to New York, and I bought that beautiful picture of Charlie Chaplin. Remember when he was older, and it was a photograph that he signed, but it was a sepia photograph, and it was from his personal archives, and I was so excited to own that. And just when someone buys something for the first time of somebody that they really loved and admired, I watched all the people talking, that when they were bidding on the claim sale items, and how I'm thinking they're first-time buyers, and how exciting it is to get your first little piece. You know,
so as a collector in today's market, clearly there are lots of places that sell stuff, but you really do have to go to reputable
Oh, yeah.
places. I always loved telling the story. One time in Las Vegas, I went into a autograph / gallery where they sell sports.
I was with
and
you.
You were there when
Yeah,
I did this?
yes.
And anyway, they have all these, these autographs, floor to ceiling and all that. And so sitting over here was a poster
Of Carrie.
of Carrie from, I think it was a Star Wars poster, and it had her alleged signature on there. And I looked over at it and I was like, that's not Carrie's signature. And then she said, what? I said, no, there's no way that's not Carrie's signature. So we bring over the salesman, and I said, that's not Carrie's signature. And he goes, well, of course it is. We guarantee it. We have a certificate of authenticity. I said, well, I'm Carrie's brother, and I'm telling you that's not Carrie's signature, period. Remember me
I do.
biting back?
And they were aghast because here they are selling it in their
Busted.
store, for a lot of money.
But my point is, it was a reputable gallery, well-known, I won't mention the name, but a gallery that was famous, and here they were peddling bogus merchandise. So, having said that, you really want to make sure you go to the reputable
Right.
auction sites. Now, what's cool about our site
You have to be
is,
so careful on eBay. You have to be really
well, eBay,
careful.
the people do
Yeah.
nothing but, a lot of bogus stuff there. But on the other hand, certain things are just not worth faking, so some stuff you can buy fairly safely.
Yeah.
But as you get up into the prices, people start to get little sideways on how they do business.
Yeah.
But I really think that's one of the great things about our store is everything that we put up is, from our collections, my collections, my mother's collections, Carrie collections.
Or if it's something we find,
collection.
my collection, something we find, and we have things authenticated because
What
you
did
can
I
have
do?
that.
What did we do with that Eddie thing that I found the other day?
Which one?
Remember, I went to the bookstore and I found
Oh no,
the
you
galleys.
showed that. You showed that on the show. Yeah, when we
Yeah.
did the show.
So now this is one for me, right? I mean, so I'm at a bookstore and I am buying some coffee table books.
Yeah.
And the guy comes over and he goes, "You're pretty hardcore here, buddy. Buying like 15 movie books or what's up with that?" And I said, "Well, I started explaining who I am, and he goes, "Oh, you're Debbie Reynolds' son?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "So your dad's Eddie Fisher?" And I said, "Yes." That's interesting. You would know that. He goes, "Would you like to come next door and see something I have that your father signed?" Now I'm like, "Well, sure I would." Now, first of all, I'm going to be skeptical that it's legit anyway. But so I go next door into this warehouse, and the guy shows me the galleys of my father's book.
Wow.
And this is something I won't sell because it goes into my story. Because I always contended that my father alleged that he never read a lot of these stories that he told in this book. He told me point blank that he never said certain things that were in the book. And I was like, well, you must have read the galleys. I mean, you had to approve this stuff. Oh, no, I never saw this. I never saw that. So here was a signed copy of the galleys
Wow.
by him. Now, I'm not saying it convicts you and puts you in the gas chamber, but the reality is that does not look good. The jury would look at that and say, well, Mr. Fisher, is this your signature? And of course, I know his signature is like, yes, that's my signature. Well, and this is the copy of the galleys of books. Why is your signature on the book? I mean, and he'd written some notes on there. I mean, it's just like, sorry, that's not good. I bring this up because you have to know what you're looking at and what it is. And these things have stories. This guy didn't know that story. He really didn't know he didn't know how important that thing was to me.
Yes.
I remember the guy said to me, I forgot what he said, I forgot what he asked for it. I don't even remember, but let's just say it was $100. I don't remember what he said, but it was like, I had to kind of keep my cool, like, yeah, that's fine. It was like whatever the number was, I was going to pay it because I had to have that for my story.
Yes.
It connects back to my storytelling. Anyway, I say this because there's a lot of people that are, as you say, collecting things, and we want to encourage people to collect things, but we want people to buy things that are legitimate, so that
I think that there were
some.
Seth, you did an amazing job of picking things out for that claim sale today. Just beautiful. And there were a lot of really good deals. And when I say that, I mean, people buy things for different reasons. Some people buy to invest. Some people buy out of emotion because it means something to them. That's why I wanted that Charlie Chaplin photograph that was so beautifully framed.
Now
and
you have his camera.
I had Judy Garland's.
Now you have his camera.
I have his camera, but it's not really mine. It's yours. But
What
anyway,
does that mean?
it just means that I didn't find it and I didn't, pay for it
Well, okay,
because
so
you
that-
had that
but-
before me. But the point is
Starting to
this.
sound like a prenup here.
No, it's just that you get excited when you find
No,
something.
no, you're right.
You know?
There's the art of the deal.
Yeah, the art of the deal. And when I bought the Charlie Chaplin, there was something I wanted very much there at that gallery, and it was Mozart. It was a piece of music that Mozart, he was writing on a piece of paper, and he was throwing them away, just throwing them, writing notes and throwing them away. And they had a few of these papers that were crumpled and they uncrumpled it and they had it in a frame, and I was like, oh my God, I want this so much.
You know what's funny?
But it was so
That-
expensive.
No, but that tickled your fancy.
it
It's
did,
interesting.
of course, because
I-
he's a genius.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it's
And
like,
I love his music.
Well, I mean,
And
that's
he-
the point, right?
And,
It's like
and,
you have to
and think
figure
about
that
how
out.
long ago that was. And I could picture him when I was standing there looking at the notes. I could picture him sitting there writing furiously and getting frustrated with that it's not exactly what he wanted and throwing it in the trash can. I mean, I could see it.
But you know what? The point is, though, that not everybody would be turned on to the level that you're turned on about that story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different sort of, registration is what turns you on. And I think that it's important that you sort of center in on your favorite movies, your favorite stars, your favorite things. And then it's like, I know certain collectors they stay in their lane. They really figure out what they're passionate
Yeah.
about and they stay in their lane. I'm not very good at that. David Copperfield said to me that I had to learn how to stay in my lane, and I said I've never ever figured that out.
You never had a lane.
I don't know. I'm all over.
Well,
I have
he is a
5-lane
great
highway.
collector.
Yes,
Yeah, but
you're in interstate.
he does stay a bit in his lane.
Yeah.
Like he pretty
No,
much.
he
is-
knows what he likes and what he
stays in a
wants,
certain
yeah.
area. But when I'm hanging out with him and we're talking about collections and things, I am certainly more, and it's because of my mom and all of that. I have no choice but sometimes to drift because I feel like I'm responsible a little bit for her passion as well as my own.
Well, a lot of people don't know that Singing in the Rain is one of his favorite movies. And he was highly influenced, David Copperfield, by the classic films and Singing in the Rain and Gene Kelly. And when you would see an early David Copperfield show, he had dancers in his show and he was in a tuxedo and he was very elegant and very, and I think that he was heavily influenced by the glamour of
Well,
those
it
old
makes
shows,
sense.
and he brought that to magic, so it was really quite something, to see his shows where you never saw a magician like that. It's like Doug Henning came along and he was like the hippie magician, and then David Copperfield came along and he was the elegant magician, and
Truly.
so everybody, but his influence was definitely classic films, and one of his favorites was Singing in the Rain. So I'm sorry I don't know if he ever got to meet Debbie, but we were all supposed to go to, this is before we met him and knew him, we were supposed to go to his museum here. It's not open to the public, and it was going to be you, me, and Debbie. And I was so excited about that, and we ended up seeing it years later. But she had her stroke. Remember,
Right.
it just happened out of the blue like that.
Well, she would have been, I can tell you for sure, she would have been so impressed
Oh,
with what
she
he's done.
would have loved it.
He has a world-class library that no library in the world has what he has. His library is off the charts.
Oh, yeah.
His collections of magic history, of performers in magic history and posters, artifacts, stage props. There's nothing like it in the world. And I mean, in a way, it's a shame that the world isn't seeing it. I mean, it's staggeringly important in that category.
Yeah, but it's his playground.
It's his
It's
thing.
his thing. It's his passion. It's his everything in there is something that he just loves, and it's his special magic place. So I feel lucky to have been able to see
Well,
it.
it's how people feel when they come here. Same kind of thing. We have a museum here, and people
Yeah.
see things. And I try to explain sometimes to people that my mother never had any of this stuff in our homes.
Right.
And they're like, "You got to be kidding me!"
No, all this was in storage.
But she wouldn't have allowed it. As it is, she complained there was too much Debbie in the house.
Right.
You know.
But I like it.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's up to you. She was concerned, though, that there was too much Debbie and that you would be somehow not happy about that.
I know, but I made her understand that very well, that I loved having her things around and to have all the movie posters up. And I do love having the museum here, although I hope one day for it to be somewhere where the public can see it.
That's got to be the goal,
Yeah.
ultimately, to see that, available to the public. It was always her dream, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be exactly, obviously, what she had originally intended, but we could take a shot at it. But here we are again, trying and trying. We're
Well,
always
one of
trying.
my dreams, as you probably know, because I talk about it endlessly, but is to create an event, even if we had to do it here, where magic meets old Hollywood, because nobody can duplicate that. And, it would be such a cool thing to be able to have people come for a very intimate number of people, to an event, to have dinner, to have cocktails,
Well, in a way,
to
that's
see
what we're
the
doing on the cruise
collection,
ship next
to have
week.
to see a magic
Aren't
show.
we doing that on this cruise ship?
We
next
are.
week?
We don't have our artifacts with us on the cruise ship.
Some, but there's a little resistance on some of the management.
Well,
we're going to figure that out.
Yeah, but still, it's my wish is to create an event here in Vegas where magic meets old Hollywood. I just
Ryan,
love
is there
that.
something you
yes,
want us to
but
forward?
I was asking Ryan because I do want to talk about Patreon. Then we're going to give stuff away, and the show is going to be over. But I want to say that Behind the Stage Doors with Kat and Todd is the name of our Patreon page. And if you go to patreon.com, and there'll be a link, I'm sure, that either Ryan or
You
Seth
can
will
scroll
put
through it,
down
Ryan.
there right
We're
now.
looking at it now, Ryan. Scroll.
Okay, well,
Or show us whatever.
he's
Link is pinned
To the top
to
of
the
the
top
chat.
of the chat.
okay. So while that chat disappears after the show. So if you go to the top and just copy and paste that link, so it will take you to our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com. And Behind the Stage Doors is the name of our Patreon page. And as you can see, there's all kinds of footage and private footage from our family archives, and also pieces of things that much of it is stuff that you have never seen or that is no one has ever seen.
Well,
and
at
some
best,
of it,
you would have seen a piece of it on our live show here.
right, a piece of it.
And then
yeah.
we would put up the whole thing on the Patreon.
On the
site.
Patreon page.
This is really for people that are more interested in drilling down into what we've been talking about at different times, or you want to drill down more into Carrie or Debbie's history or my history with them.
Right.
Or see live shows with Debbie, or even live shows with Carrie, for that matter.
Right, but it's just okay. It's just so great. So, Seth, I'm going to have you go ahead and tell folks about how they can join it, how much it is, and what they get,
you just go on ahead to that link at the top of our chat, or if you go to the YouTube page, you can also find it there, and there's a link that takes you right to our Patreon. Or if you go to patreon.com, you just type in Behind the Stage Doors with Kat and Todd, and it'll come up right there for you. You can join. There are 2 tiers. There's one that's $3.99, and that is a little bit less exclusive than our $9.99 tier a month, that you will get all access to all of our archives that we post up there.
Well, eventually this archive will be massive, because I can assure you we have massive archives. And there's a limit right now to how much we can put up in a certain period of time, but we will eventually have. I want it all up there at some
Yeah,
point.
well,
This is
what
really
it is
intended
it's,
for the
it's
fans.
yes, and then what it is it's kind of a rotating archive. So that's the fun of it. That we try to keep it fresh for everybody, because if you're there, like we know some people have bought already a 6-month membership, which we love, and so therefore every month is kind of, every week new stuff is put in, but every month it's rotated out with new things. And we have paid per view things where you can go and watch it. Like we have Debbie and Donald O'Connor live from the 80s right now, a show that Todd shot in Reno at Harrah's, and that's a really fantastic show. And it's like he was saying earlier, it was shot beautifully. The sound is great. It's just incredible quality. So that's really wonderful. That's up there. And then I had a few notes. What we're doing for our tier 2 subscribers right now, which is really cool, we're actually working on a special giveaway for you guys. We're going to try to do that monthly, I believe, if that's right, Ryan. And we are working on that. And then we have an announcement for our free Patreon subscribers, because if you don't feel like currently subscribing to our tiers that have monetary value, we have our free subscription that we're going to be adding some content to as well. So stay tuned for that. And then last but not least, we wanted to let you guys know that next week we're not going to be having a live show on Saturday because a lot of you are going to be on the cruise with Kat
We're going to
and
be
Todd.
on the cruise, but we are taping.
And they are taping,
Yeah,
which we will
be
premiere
back the following Saturday,
week.
and
No,
we
but
will
wait,
have.
wait.
Yeah,
No, we're
Next Saturday
premiering
we'll be getting on the ship, but we're going to have a pre-recorded show.
are we?
No, next Saturday you're going to be on the ship doing a show that you're recording on the show, and then we'll be airing that the following week.
So
But
the only show.
what are we airing on this Saturday? Next Saturday.
Next Saturday, Carson is on. We're on hiatus next Saturday.
Yeah,
Are
there
you
you
sure?
go.
Why
Yes,
why wouldn't we do the thing didn't we say we were going to do
because
something on the
we
motorhome?
leave on
Well,
Wednesday.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
posting some footage. So Patreon will get footage posted.
No,
to
no,
it
no.
next
But I
week.
mean, didn't we just, let's have this discussion with you guys. Didn't we say we were going to go like in the motorhome and put an RV and cruise ship little thing together? And that would be the thing that would post this Saturday.
Okay, so just so you know,
we'll have something for them next Saturday.
as I used to say to Carrie, the fairies, the magical fairies, are there to make all that because we leave on Wednesday morning, and tomorrow's Sunday, the next day is Monday, the next day is Tuesday, and we have so much to do
But
and
we
so
have
much
a
going
plan.
on. And we don't have a plan.
Stay tuned.
That's
as
right.
We
We-
will have
we
something.
do not
for
have a
you
plan.
No, I
next
do.
week.
I only needed you for a few minutes in the RV to complete the little concept, and we'll surprise you with the concept.
Okay.
It's a
I
very
will be surprised with
It's
the
very
concept.
simple. I'm not
No,
trying
I'm
to do
kidding.
a
I know
whole
the
giant
concept.
show. We're going to do a
Yeah.
Right.
show about, what was the right word that you used the other day? You were saying, when it's, I mean, in a way, a
Reality?
cruise ship is just a giant RV
Well,
with lots more people on it.
RVs
water.
are land
An
yachts.
RV on water.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's an
Look what's up behind
An
me.
RV.
Yeah, we're going to do the wheel. It's time to give stuff away. Those of you who are here that
As
are
we
new,
go into hour
this is
3.
called the randomizer. And if you have chatted in the room when you came in tonight, your name was automatically taken from your chat message and put on the randomizer wheel. We're going to spin it. There will be. Is it 5 winners?
4 winners.
4 winners, and then we go on to the next wheel, which is the special wheel, because those of you who donated during the show
Last week,
your names are on a much smaller wheel that has the names of the donors on there, and if you donated tonight, then you will be on the next live show, and you will be up for that special prize as well. So before we go to the wheel, is Kyle in the room?
He is, and he graduated.
I know.
last week.
Kyle, can you make yourself seen, please? I want you to all to know that Kyle graduated from high school the other night, and I am just like, come on, Kyle, put yourself where the wheel is. I know you are.
No,
I want to see you full screen.
Full screen. We want to see all those wrinkles from all the worrying about your finals.
Not him.
Bags under his
he's
eyes
so
from
smart.
finals.
He
You gotta stop sharing your screen.
But the wheel's up.
Yeah.
No.
You come on here now, Kyle. Make yourself
be
seen.
shy.
There he is. Look at him.
Look at the bags under his eyes from that fierce studying.
Yeah,
He's been
Kyle.
studying
You know
for-
what? He knows. He knows the answers before they're put on the paper. Okay, so
Yeah, because he
congratulations,
hacked into the
Kyle.
computer at the
Congratulations to you.
You hacked into the computer at school, got all the answers out of their server, right? That's what happens when you're
Kyle,
smart
you
as a whip.
froze on us. Are you there?
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
That's what happens
Oh,
when,
darn
you're,
it,
that, when you're
Kyle.
that young. You get frozen easily.
I am so proud of you, boy. I cannot even tell you.
Congratulations, all seriousness
he's
aside.
so great. He's going to go so far. We're so lucky to have Kyle.
Yeah, we
There
got
you
now.
are. You're moving again.
My internet's been acting up all night tonight. It's been freezing. I got this out.
What is that?
Yeah, let's see that. Let's see that.
Open it up. Let's share. Let's share with the class.
You
I
can't
want to see.
move around though. Somewhere.
Sensitive stuff on it.
No.
What is it? Oh,
Show it.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
your diploma.
That's right.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And Ryan told me he didn't think you were going to make it.
You,
Just kidding.
you know what? I don't even know whatever happened to my high school diploma,
I have mine.
but I when I got my diploma, when
Because
I
my mother
graduated
kept it for me,
from,
otherwise I would not have it.
well, when I went back to school to become a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist, and and I got my diploma, and it's hanging in my office. It's like such a great feeling. So when you held that diploma up just now, it reminds me about how special that is. It's over.
Hey, who's that
and
dog
now it's
over your
about to
shoulder?
beginning.
Who's that dog?
Oh, over here.
Who's that?
His name is Finn. I have him in here because the room is like soundproofed and there was a firework out.
Ben, how you doing, buddy?
Look,
Ben, are you there?
There.
There you go.
I met Finn. Yes.
Finn
yeah.
or Ben?
Finn.
Finn.
Yeah. So
Good boy.
cute.
Oh, he's
Anyway, Kyle, so proud of you. Everybody's, loving on you, and happy graduation.
All right, off to the
All
wheel.
right, off to the wheel. And here we go. Kyle's in charge of the wheel, and we will give it the first spins. Seth is going to give me the prizes. I just feel it. It's coming. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel first, and then I'll tell you what you've won. Here we go. Prize number 1 is going to... I love giving stuff away. Gillian Lenton. Gillian, I wonder if you were named after the movie Bell, Book, and Candle. The lead character's name, the witch, played by Kim Novak, was named Gillian. So I wonder if she was named. I bet she was.
Another great movie.
Gillian, you have won. You can't see it very, very well, but you have won. Yeah, you do
I bet
that.
I have a close-up camera. Yeah, we had a close-up camera. See if that helps you at all.
It's
Just switch to
the most
close-up.
gorgeous lip gloss
well.
ever. And it's
he can zoom in on it.
yeah,
Okay.
it's named Rich. It's Cat Cosmetics from my company, catcosmetics.com, catcosmetics.com. It is a coral pink shimmer, and it makes your face look like it just came to life. It is an absolutely beautiful color, as all of our colors
All
are.
right.
So you have won that Gillian Lenton, and what I need you to do is write to catandtoddlive@gmail.com and give us your address so we can send that out to you. And we're going on to congratulations. We're going on to the next prize. It is... look at this. I love this wheel so much. Oh my gosh, look how close it came to Jeff. Jama Taylor, you are prize winner number 2, and you have won what? Oh, let me see what color this is. Oh, this you can sort of see it from here, and I love it.
Here, he's gonna go
yeah,
on the
but
camera.
it's a color stick, but it's actually a highlighter stick, and I have
Hey,
it on.
Seth.
I actually have it on my face tonight.
Oh, we got the close-up.
There it
Never mind.
is. So you just roll that stick up, and you can use it on your lips over any lip color. You can use it on your cheeks, on your forehead. It's a highlighting stick, and it looks so good on the skin. It is. I went to Sephora today for about an hour because I was checking things out. I'm telling you, I could not be more proud of our line, our makeup line, because I didn't see anything that comes close to this, and this is so special. So thank you, Jama Taylor, for watching. You have won that. Make sure you write us at catandtoddlive@gmail.com and let us know your address. Now, number 3, the third winner is going to be, this wheel is so pretty. Lynn McLaughlin. I think that's a new person or a new winner anyway. Lynn McLaughlin, I want you to welcome to our show. I want you to know that you have won the Debbie Reynolds CD. It has lots of her great songs on here, and it is unopened. So this is a collectible. Tammy is on here, Time After Time, Love is a Simple Thing, which I love, Abba Dabba Honeymoon. So all of the hits are on here of Debbie's, and this is really great. So Lynn McLaughlin, what I need you to do is write me at catandtoddlive@gmail.com. Give me your address so we can get that out to you. Thank you, Lynn, for watching, and congratulations. All right, the next winner is, and I think, am I wrong?
That's it.
That's
the
it?
last one.
Okay. All right. So we now we're going to the big wheel, or
No.
we have one more here. I thought we had one more
This
here.
is it. Back to the wheel. Here it comes.
Wait, which wheel are we on?
You're on the regular wheel, and the winner
You see, people?
Are we spinning or did it freeze?
It
Regular,
froze.
Kyle's internet is a little
Wonky. Okay, so I see it's on something. It's landed on something.
Well, do you want to try to unstick it, or do we want to just go with that person?
Right.
Oh. We've never.
Kyle, text me the name.
This is the fourth person on the regular wheel.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
All right.
Spin it when you're ready. It's kind of,
It's frozenated. So we have.
You like to build suspense.
Yeah, well, we'll
is
just wait for just give us a name, Kyle. Make it stop.
Oh, also, while we're waiting for this wheel,
There's no
I
end
wanted
to
to
it.
say that Scott Michaels, who has a great YouTube channel called Dearly Departed with Scott Michaels, here on YouTube. If you like anything that has to do with celebrities,
There you go. There's your winner.
hold on, I'm going to finish this. Please check out Scott Michaels' page. It was Dearly Departed with Scott Michaels. It is so good, and I like that stuff. It's dealt with great sensitivity, but it's about the deaths of celebrities and all the history of it, and where and how and what, and it's just great. So thank you, Scott, for being here. We're happy to have you. Catherine B., you are the winner of what's the fourth? No, that's the big prize, I
Nope.
think. Wow. This okay. Catherine B., this is the hardcover book that Todd wrote called My Girls, and I love this book so much, and not just because my husband wrote it, but because I am a big reader, and I love this book. I love it so much, and it's a lifetime with Carrie and Debbie, and these are out of you can't get these anymore except through us.
Right.
Because they don't sell the hardcover
I
anymore.
have the last.
When it went into I don't know how many printings, they stopped doing hardcovers.
No. There was only one printing of the hardcover.
Oh, there was only
And
one. There you go.
At this moment, I have cornered the market on all the
You had them
hardcovers.
made.
I have
Yeah.
them all.
And what I love about this book, as opposed to the paperback, is that the pictures are just
Here, I'll show
yeah,
one.
please do, because this book, so if you want a hardcover copy of this book, I mean, it is really spectacular, and they just came in yesterday.
Let's see if I can get the
We
focus
won't
on it.
be here after Wednesday
All right,
for
he's
a
gonna
week,
operate.
but after that we will have them up.
Yeah, we
And-
were talking about Carrie abusing me. There she is, or abusing me. I'm going to move forward, so you have to refocus a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to see the book because I haven't seen a hardcover in quite some time.
There's a lot of cool stuff in here. This is a beautiful
So Catherine B.,
color.
please send us your address at catandtoddlive@gmail.com, and we will get this book out to you. And if you would
Now-
like it signed, please let us know who you would like it signed
to
to.
mention is that, and I think Ryan's going to put something up about this, but I am not thrilled with some of the paperback printings and right now, if you buy on Amazon, you get what I consider to be sort of
Really?
a cheesy printing of this book. So anybody that has a paperback book of mine, we're going to offer you a hardback at a special, like our cost, and I'll re-sign it to you because I don't like the quality of the paperback book. So if you have a paperback book of My Girls and you want a hardback, Ryan will post something about this and you can upgrade to a hardback. And we'll honor that to anybody that has a paperback book. Because when they first did the first edition of the paperback book, it was pretty good. Had color pictures, it was really good. And then they sold out of those and they went into a second printing of the paperback book.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they had no more color pictures, these cheesy black and white copies of color pictures that looked bad, framing was bad, not happy. So that's
So you
my
had
fix.
these made, yeah.
Well, no, that's my fix for you. That is that is the exact first printing.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to the final wheel, which is the super wheel. If you donated to our show last week there in the chat, you are on this wheel. You can see there's far less names on it, and we want to thank everybody that is on it for your donations. Also, tonight's donators, you will be on the next super wheel. Let's go ahead and spin that wheel and see who gets the super prize tonight. It is Oh
No
my
end to it.
gosh. I know. It just goes. Oh my gosh. There we go. Terry Dixon. Terry Dixon, congratulations. You have won.
Does she have that, do you
I
think?
don't know if she has this. She very well might. But it is a piece of the floor from Debbie's dance studio, and it was also the same floor at MGM Studios in the golden days. So it was the rehearsal room that all of the stars practice on and did all their rehearsals on. So this floor has been danced on by many, 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 many people, including Michael Jackson, who did who
Thriller.
rehearsed Thriller on this floor. And we had the.
And it comes with the still of
It
Tammy.
does. It
Look.
comes with the still of Debbie as Tammy. Comes with the still of Tammy. All three of these are from Tammy, are they not?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
the ones that you just saw in the script. And let me see those for a second.
Yeah.
These are.
So Terry, congratulations. I don't know if Terry has the new one with the wood. It's burned into the wood, and they're numbered. So there are
yeah,
only
this,
so
and
many.
By the way, just come to my camera for a second.
Yes.
These are this one anyway is a studio print.
Right.
So
Yep.
Some are.
So Terry Dixon, congratulations. Give us a write, and I have your address, but let us know that you're here tonight and that you got this. And yay, the show is over. We are
made it.
about to. What we are about to do is just give you a minute while we run the crawl of the people who donated tonight. You will see your name on the crawl, and we just want to
Is
say
that going
thank
to work,
you.
Ryan, or who's running that?
I'm running it.
Oh,
All right.
All right, so we'll have a smooth.
Perfect.
Thing.
So thank you for coming on behalf of Ryan Clements and Kyle Hinton and Seth Robichaux and Fox, who's on camera tonight. Welcome, Fox. You're
Fox
awesome.
and the Switcher.
Fox and the Switcher, yes.
I see him changing hats every 5 minutes back there.
That's right. Todd and myself, we want to thank you and say, God bless you. Thank you for coming tonight. We had so much fun. And we will see you, if not next week, certainly the week after, because we're going to have so much to report from the cruise ship. And I'll see most of you out there tonight on the cruise ship next weekend on the Cat and Todd Cruise Live. It's going to be super fun. So good night, everybody. Stick around. We'll
See you in the Caribbean.
Say good night to each other as we run the credits of the show. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
You mean a lot to me. He knew what I'm dreaming of. Tammy, Tammy, Tammy's in love. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, you and I know. Tammy, Tammy, can't let him go. The breeze from the bayou keeps murmuring low. Tammy, Tammy, you love him so. When the night is warm, soft and warm, I long for his charms. I'd sing like a violin if I were in his arms. Wish I knew if he knew what I'm dreaming of. Tammy, Tammy, Tammy's in Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.